Okay, so in this video, we're going to go over your quiz review for our Unit 4. I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to give you one tip that when you get to your test tomorrow, I would write this equation at the top of your paper. It's going to be used in most of our questions. Pretty sure all of them. So keep that equation in your mind the whole time. So number 1, write an equation of a line that has a slope of 2/5 and a y-intercept of -5. Slope goes where the m is, 2/3 goes there, and our y-intercept goes where the b is. You have to include your x on your test. Make sure it's there. All right, number 2, which of the following linear equations have positive slope? So we have to be careful with this one. Let's see, the first one, our slope is -5, so no. B, our slope is also -5, so still no. C, our slope is positive 1/5, so yes. Remember, slope is the number in front of the x. Let's look at the next one. Our slope is -1/5, so that is another no. E, this one's tricky. Our slope is not -5, it's the number in front of the x, which is +5. So yes. X is equal to 5. This is the equation of a line that is undefined. So there's no slope, so it's not necessarily positive. So no, not correct either. Let's go to C, number 3, sorry. What is the slope-intercept equation for the graph shown below? To write the slope-intercept equation, we need to know the slope, so our rise over our run, and our y-intercept, and then we'll figure it out from there. Looks like they told us most of the information, but let's double check. The slope we find, I'm going to zoom in, by first deciding if it's positive or negative. From left to right, my leftmost point to get to my rightmost point is going downhill. If I hopped on a bike, I would be going downhill. To find the numeric slope, we count our rise, how much we go up and down, and put that over how much we go left to right. So in this case, we go down 2, so our rise is -2, and we run 1. So our run is 1. That means our slope is -2. Our y-intercept is the point that our graph crosses the y-axis, which is here at -1. So let's try to find an equation that has a slope of -2 and a y-intercept of -1. This first one has a slope of +2 and a y-intercept of -1. This next one doesn't have a y-intercept, which means it crosses through the origin. No. The next one is -1/2 minus 2. It's rise over run. How much we go up and down before how much we go left and right. So not that one. And finally, this one has a slope of -2 and a y-intercept of -1. Let's try the next one. What is the slope-intercept equation? So we're still doing y equals mx plus b. We need our m and we need our b. The m is our slope. First, let's decide if it's positive or negative. From my leftmost point over here, I'm going uphill to get to my rightmost point. To find the actual slope, which means this is a positive slope. To find the actual slope, we go between 2 lines. So here and here. In this graph, we go up 1, 2, 3. So our rise is 3, and we run 1. So our slope is +3. So our m is 3. Our y-intercept is where it crosses. I'm going to kind of erase some of my annotations so we can see a little bit better. It looks like it's 2, 3, 4, 5 is right there. So now to write our equation, we replace the m with the 3. And the b with the 5. And that's how we get to our equation of graphs. Let's keep going. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of 4 and goes through the point 3, 10. We need to know the slope and the y-intercept before I start writing my equation. I know the slope is 4. I don't know the y-intercept. This is where we have to use the equation y equals mx plus b, where we plug in our slope as m and our ordered pair as x and y. So where I see a y, I'm going to replace it with a 10. Where I see an m, I'm going to replace it with a 4, because that's our slope. Where I see an x, I'm going to replace it with a 3 with parentheses around it, since it's a number next to a variable with nothing in between. Now we do some math. 4 times 3 is 12. We need to simplify that side before we can do anything else. Now we're trying to isolate our variable term, and the thing that's stopping it is this plus 12. And the way we get rid of that plus 12 is by doing the opposite. Subtract 10 minus 12 is not positive 2, it's negative 2, is equal to b. So now we have our slope is 4, and we have that our y-intercept is negative 2. That's the kind of information that we needed to answer number 1 and the rest of them. Your goal is to find the slope and the y-intercept and write your final equation. Here's what the final equation looks like. Y equals 4x minus 2. Let's try number 6. What is the slope-intercept equation of the line that goes through 1, 5 and 2, 8? Well, I need to know my slope, and they did not tell me that. I also need to know a y-intercept. They also did not tell me that. To find the slope, we use the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. To find the y-intercept, we use the form y equals mx plus b. So first, let's find the slope. Label our points and find it. 5 minus 8 over 1 minus 2. Sorry. That is one way you can do it, but I'm sure most of you went the other way. 8 minus 5 over 2 minus 1, which is going to give us 3 over 1 as our slope. Well, I kind of already see our answer, but let's double check to make sure. To find the y-intercept, we put in 3 as our slope. And then we fill out our x and y with one of our coordinates. I'm going to pick 1 and 5 because those are smaller numbers, which will be easier to work with. Where there is an x, I'm going to replace it with 1. And where there is a y, I'm going to replace it with 5. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract both sides to get b equals 2. Well, there we go. We have a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 2, which is that equation right there. Number 7 and 8, we have to graph them by starting from the y-intercept and then doing our rise over run. So number 7, I'm going to start at negative 5 is down here. And then my rise over run, I rise 2 and run 1. So I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. I'm going to check in the end that I still have a positive slope. From left to right, it's still going uphill. If you're confused about how I got those dots, I rose 2 and ran 1. Rose 2 and ran 1. X equals 4 is one of our special types of situations where it crosses the x-axis at 4 and makes a straight up and down undefined line. Let me pick a different color for that one. So it crosses through 4 and makes a straight up and down line. The graph below shows the height of a flower based on the number of weeks. Oh, sorry. The graph shows the height of a flower based on the number of weeks since it was planted. What is the linear equation that represents this situation? The linear equation that represents this situation, we do by finding the slope. You can count the points they gave us. That's probably going to be a little hard. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1, 2, 3. So our rise is 9 and our run is 3, which is 9 over 3, which is 3. So we know our slope is 3, so we're looking for the slope of 3, so A doesn't work. And our y-intercept is 2. So to write that equation, that would be D. Kaylani has $50 in her savings account. She plans on adding 10 each week. Write a slope-intercept equation for this situation. To do that, we need the slope and the y-intercept. Our slope is going to be the for every or the per or the each kind of word. So that's going to be the $10 each week. That will be our slope. Our y-intercept will be our starting point. So she starts with $50 in her savings account. To write this equation, we would write y equals mx plus b, where m is 10 and b is 50. It didn't ask any follow-up questions with that. That's all we had to do. Finally, we have number 11. A dune buggy company rents buggies on the beach with an initial fee of $30 plus $10 for each hour. Let X represent the number of hours and Y represent total cost. So the important things are our $10 for each hour is our slope. The initial fee is our y-intercept. Oops, sorry, that's 30. So now we can easily write the equation y equals 10x plus 30. If Clint rents a dune buggy for 5 hours, which is an X value, how much should he expect to pay? So where there is an X in our formula, we're going to plug in a 5 to figure out what Y is. That's how these slope equations work. 10 times 5 is 50. And 50 plus 30 is 80. So for him to go to this dune buggy company, if he wants to be there for 5 hours and wants to use it for 5 hours, he'd have to spend 80 total dollars, which is our Y value for that. Right, that is it for your quiz review. Good luck. I'll have some extra links to videos and things, and obviously we'll practice in class. Goodbye.